Assalamu alaikum everyone and a very warm welcome back to the channel. So आज की इस session में we are going to absolutely master one of the most crucial chapters for your class 12th EVS board exams, and that is biodiversity. Look, I know exam season can feel super overwhelming, right? But seriously tension लेने की बिल्कुल ज़रूरत नहीं है. Over the next few minutes, we'll calmly break down this entire chapter step by step. I can literally guarantee you if you just pay attention to this explainer, those 10 bucks, they are safely going straight into your pocket. So sit back, relax, take a deep breath और चलिए शुरू करते हैं. Let's dive right in.
एक नज़र इस रोड मैप पर डालिए. Just a quick look at what we're covering today. First, what is biodiversity? Then, types and measurement. After that, patterns and importance, followed by the loss of biodiversity. Then we'll look at conservation strategies, and finally, the IUCN Red List. All right, let's get moving.
Section 1. What is biodiversity? Let's take a look at the incredible life on Earth.
I want you to just visualize the incredible variety of life around us. Seriously, apne aaspaas dekhiye. From the tiniest little insects to massive elephants. From thick, dense forests to the deep oceans. This whole variety is exactly what makes our Earth so unique. So let's look at the actual scientific definition. Biodiversity is simply the totality of genes, species, and ecosystems in a given region. It's basically the whole shebang, all the life forms combined. But right, here is the absolutely crucial part for your objective section. The answer suniye. This term was actually coined by W.G. Rosen back in the year 1985. However, it was famously popularized by the scientist Edward Wilson. W.G. Rosen and Edward Wilson. You know what? Just lock these two names in your head right now. In dono ka naam yaad rakhiyega because these are guaranteed objective questions in your exams.
Now, according to the brilliant researcher Robert May, there are an estimated 7 million species on our beautiful planet. 7 million! And this chart brilliantly illustrates exactly how those species are distributed. Notice how a massive majority, we're talking about 70%, are animals. Plants make up around 22%, and the remaining 8% are other life forms, things like fungi and bacteria. Animals got domination, yaha, clearly dikh right?
So, sticking with that 70% figure, what's really wild about this specific number is the math behind it. We literally just learned that 70% of all life forms are animals, right? But get this, within that animal kingdom, an astonishing 70% are insects. Yep, insects. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर आप दुनिया के कोई भी दो डिफरेंट एनिमल्स को एक जगह खड़ा करें तो उनमें से 7 तो डेफिनेटली इंसेक्ट्स ही होंगे. It's a staggering figure honestly, and let me tell you it is a major favorite for examiners.
Section 2. Types and measurement. Let's see how we categorize all this life.
So, with millions of species out there, how do ecologists even begin to categorize them? Well, this comparison right here is crucial. Species richness versus species evenness. Asan lafzo mein samjhen to, species richness is simply counting the total number of different species in a specific area. Jaise मान लीजिए एक jungle में tiger bhi hai, deer bhi hai, or monkey bhi hai. That's richness. You just count the types. On the other hand, species evenness looks at the distribution, or the relative abundance of those species. Let's say एक forest में 99 monkeys han और सिर्फ एक tiger hai. उस case में evenness low hai. But agar 50 monkeys or 50 tigers hai, then the evenness is high. Make sense? The more uniform the distribution is, the higher the evenness.
Okay, so the next big question is, how do we measure this on a much larger scale? Back in 1972, a really smart scientist named R.H. Whitaker gave us his brilliant 3-level measurement scale: alpha, beta, and gamma diversity. To understand this, I want you to imagine aapke paas teen elega ecosystems on, say a lake, a forest, and a grassland. Let's see exactly how Whitaker's scale applies to them.
Let me explain this methodically so it sticks. Number 1 is alpha diversity. ये बहुत simple है. You just look within one specific ecosystem, like let's say just the lake, and you count the species there. That's alpha. Number 2 is beta diversity. यहाँ हम comparison करते हैं. You look at the lake and the forest and you count the unique species that do not overlap between the two. Basically, it measures the difference between two habitats. And then number 3 is gamma diversity. Gamma is the big picture. The whole landscape. It's the total overall diversity across the lake, the forest, and the grassland combined. So alpha is local, beta is the difference, and gamma is the total regional diversity. Samajh aaya? It's very simple, but it is super important for your exams.
Moving on to Section 3. Patterns and importance. Why does all this actually matter?
ये सारी जिंदगी आखिर globally concentrated कहाँ है? If you look at a map of our planet, you will see that biodiversity isn't distributed evenly at all.
the highest biodiversity is actually found in the tropics, the area near the equator. But ऐसा क्यों? Why is the equator literally buzzing with life compared to, say, the freezing poles? Well, the tropics receive ample direct sunlight and heavy rainfall, which are absolutely perfect conditions for plant growth. And more plants simply mean more food for animals. Also, over millions of years, the tropics have suffered from way fewer environmental disturbances, like glaciations or ice ages. Basically, they've had a really long, undisturbed time to just evolve and flourish.
और हमें इसकी परवाह क्यों करनी चाहिए? Why is all this so critically important? Simply put, because biodiversity maintains ecosystem stability. एक stable ecosystem ही हमें हमारा खाना और raw materials provide करता है. Plus, did you know that a massive percentage of our life-saving medicines come straight from nature? For example, quinine for malaria and Taxol for cancer are derived directly from plants. Biodiversity is also responsible for soil formation, preventing soil erosion, and absolutely crucial processes like pollination. Think about it. Without insect pollinators, our entire food supply would literally collapse. Nature is, quite literally, the foundation of our human survival.
Section 4. The loss of biodiversity. This is the core problem we're facing today.
Unfortunately, despite knowing how incredibly important it is, we are witnessing a really tragic and rapid loss of species right now. Ecologists actually refer to the major causes of this destruction as the evil quartet, चार सबसे बड़े दुश्मन. First is habitat loss and fragmentation. When we cut down forests to build roads or cities, we completely destroy animals' homes. Second is overexploitation. This is basically when human greed takes over. We overhunt or overharvest species until they just disappear. Third is alien species invasion. A classic example is the water hyacinth. It was introduced to Indian water bodies to reduce pollution. But guess what? It's an alien species. It spread aggressively, blocked out the sunlight, and ended up completely destroying the local fish populations. And finally, co-extinctions. If a specific plant goes extinct, the insect that relies solely on it for food will also die. ये एक dangerous chain reaction की तरह होता है.
Section 5. Conservation Strategies. Let's talk about saving our planet.
I know the last section sounded a bit bleak, but there is definitely hope. हम इस तबाही को बिल्कुल रोक सकते हैं. When we talk about conservation, there are two primary strategies you absolutely must know for your board exams. In situ versus ex situ. Think of it this way. अगर आपको एक शेर को बचाना है और आप उसको उसके अपने natural jungle में ही protect करते हैं, that is in situ, literally on-site conservation. National parks are a perfect example of this. But let's say that jungle is completely destroyed and it's way too dangerous for the lion to stay there. In that case, you might safely move it to a zoo. Or for plants, you might preserve their seeds in a gene bank. That is ex situ conservation, protecting them off-site, safe, and away from their natural threatened habitat. Both strategies are absolutely critical tools.
Now, sticking with in situ conservation for a second, understanding the subtle differences between these three areas is an absolute lifesaver for your long answer questions. आपको इन तीनों के बीच का फर्क अच्छे से पता होना चाहिए. National parks have the strictest protection. There is absolutely no human activity or interference allowed, period. Wildlife sanctuaries are slightly more relaxed. Limited activities like local cattle grazing might actually be permitted as long as it doesn't harm the wildlife. And then we have biosphere reserves. These are unique because they are huge, multi-purpose areas divided into specific zones. A highly protected core zone, a buffer zone for limited research, and an outer transition zone where human settlements can actually coexist sustainably with nature.
On a national level, India has launched several really vital projects to save specific species. And this timeline right here, it is an absolute goldmine for objective marks. Deliberately lock these dates into your memory. In 1970, Project Hangul was started specifically in Dachigam National Park in Kashmir to protect the beautiful Kashmiri stag. In 1972, we saw the Asiatic Lion Protection Initiative for the Gir Forest. And then 1973 is a massive year. Project Tiger was launched, starting at Jim Corbett National Park. Later on, we added Project Rhino in 1987 and Project Elephant in 1992. Dates or locations, दोनों ज़रूर याद रखिएगा.
Section 6. The IUCN Red List. Global Conservation Efforts.
Finally, who actually decides which species is in danger and which is safe? That job belongs to the IUCN, which stands for the International Union for Conservation of Nature. They were established on October 5th, 1948, and their headquarters are in Gland, Switzerland. So, unka sabse bada function kya hai? Well, they maintain the famous Red Data Book. This book is essentially the global catalog of the conservation status of species, And here is a super fascinating detail for you. If you actually open the physical red data book, the pages are color-coded. If a species is printed on the pink pages, khatre ki ghanti baj chuki hai. That means the species is critically endangered and right on the brink of extinction.
To understand exactly how they categorize these endangered species, clearly look at this side-by-side contrast. It's all based on a 10-year population reduction. If a species population drops by more than 90% in just 10 years, it is labeled critically endangered, just like the Kashmiri hangal we talked about. If the drop is greater than 70%, it is labeled endangered, like our majestic tigers. And if the population drops by more than 50%, it becomes vulnerable. For example, the snow leopard. Locking these exact percentages, 90, 70, 50, into your memory will easily secure you those final few marks.
And there you have it. You have calmly and I'd say very successfully mastered the entire biodiversity chapter. लेकिन एग्जाम पास करने के अलावा भी एक आखिरी सवाल मैं आप सबसे पूछना चाहता हूं. Now that you truly understand the stakes and you see just how fragile our ecosystem really is, how will you personally contribute to protecting our planet's beautiful biodiversity in your own life? It's definitely something for all of us to think about.
Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer session today. मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि आपका कॉन्फिडेंस अब डेफिनेटली हाई होगा. Keep learning, keep revising, and I know you will absolutely ace those exams. If you found this breakdown helpful, please do subscribe to the StudyWays channel. Don't forget to hit that like button and share the session with all your friends who are also stressing over their boards. Take care, all the very best to you, and I will see you in the next one. Khuda Hafiz.